Okay, guys. So we looked at passing off a cross hamstring with an inside foot, and as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's two prime foot positions that we can use when our feet are inside of our partner's legs. There's a cross hamstring and a straight hamstring. Okay, we previously looked at the cross hamstring, where we're from here. We come in, we put our partner down to their back, and we step our foot inside of our partner's legs, and we go to a cross hamstring. Now we're going to look at going into straight hamstring passes, like so. If any of you guys noticed, we started with our leg on a cross hamstring. We came down to a half guard. My partner inserted a butterfly hook, and we inserted our own butterfly hook. Now, if you notice, my left leg now becomes a straight hamstring, just on the opposite side. Okay, this is the same exact position, but on the other side. Okay, so now everything is starting to come together. We start with a cross hamstring, we step inside. We can't pass from here, we come down to a half guard. We attempt to pass from here. My partner pommels a butterfly hook inside. We try to pass. If we can't pass, we pommel our butterfly hook in. Now, we started with a cross hamstring with our right shin. Now, we insert our left leg. Now our left leg comes in, and our left leg is a straight hamstring. So initially, I had inside position with my right foot. Now my partner pommels her top foot inside, so now she is 2 feet inside. So I pommel my left foot in, and now my left foot became the right hamstring, or became the straight hamstring. Okay, so it's the same position, just on the opposite side. So we can interchange cross and straight hamstrings by leg pommeling while we're trying to pass our partner's guard. And like I said, what's going to make you an effective guard passer is knowing when to chain these all together during the right times. So now we're going to look to come in. We're going to step inside of our partner's legs. If she's in a seated position, it's using faking of my leg, my lead leg, to come inside, and now we're in. Now from here, when my partner comes in and I go into a straight hamstring with an inside foot, it always allows my partner to lock into an outside De La Riva. With a cross hamstring, it allows her to lock into a reverse De La Riva. From here, we're going to come in, assuming my partner has a foot on the inside, that's where we start to come in here. Assuming my partner has a foot on the outside of my hip, anytime her foot comes outside of my hip, we can always come in, we drag across my partner's body, where we slap the knee outside the line of the foot, so we draw a line straight out from my partner's foot, the knee comes outside that line, and from here we pull it to our hip like so. Now, once we're in here, we come in and we start taking our head over our partner's far shoulder. And this crushes the De La Riva hook. Now, we have a variety of options. We can come to the shoulder. We can come in front of the hips and over the head. So as she goes to turn and face us, we block the hips and insert the right shoulder like we did before. If she does invert the knee and start to face me, we can come into the hip and the knee and start passing like so. Okay. There's a multitude of things from here. If she starts to create limb extension and move away from me, because her leg's extended now we have extended limbs, we can sit back and start to go into cross hashigurami, where now we have attacks in the legs, or we can heist up and do all of our passes from here. So you see now, we're starting to form a system where we have multiple series of movements from each position. We have calculated reactions of our partner, and we know where we're going to go from each position. Okay, so we have a reaction no matter where our partner goes. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to step into a straight hamstring prime passing position with our foot. Our partner's going to have an outside De La Riva, but she's going to have this leg outside of my hip. Whenever I see this leg outside of my hip, we punch the foot inside the line of the knee, and we bring the hollow of her knee to my hip. So that now from here, we start fighting to inside position. If she lets go and she uses double inside bicep ties, we come inside, we just punch the hands outside, and the head comes over the far shoulder. If she uses a cross shoulder post, we come in, we try to use an opening of the elbow to come in, and now we can come into inside position. If she uses a cross shoulder post, and I feel like I go to come inside, but her knee inverts too soon, now we come in and we stand up, and now we start going into our loose passing, where now we come in and we start doing some of the passes that we looked at previously, and that we'll look at more if when we start to go into Toreandos. So from here we step in. Our partner has a De La Riva hook, not super deep, but it's hooked into my leg like so. Her foot manages to come outside my hip, so we come in and we look to pull the hollow of her knee to the pocket of my hip. So now my whole thing is to get my head over my partner's far shoulder, and now we have a pass. If we can't get the head over the far shoulder, we have to start using a combination of moves where she goes to re-guard from here, and now we're in, and we start going into passes from there. Okay. Now this time, let's look at a position where my partner gets a deep De La Riva hook, like so. The first thing I'm going to look to do is I'm going to look to control my partner's leg with my left hand. Everything I'm looking to do from here is backstep past my partner's knee. If I don't control my partner's leg in any way, if she shoots her leg all the way through, if she's naive, I'll just fall right into cross hachigurami. Okay? But if she's smart and she can read this, when she extends her leg to start coming in, when I go to sit back into cross hachi, she can shorten her knee, and now I'll never be able to get into cross hachi. And in addition, if she pommels her leg behind, now it's back exposure. That's no good. So we come in, we put a V grip here in my partner's leg, so she can't pommel his leg at all, and we reach through and we grab our partner's leg. We always make sure that the hand comes over the knee, and we catch him like so. So now when she goes to bring her knee back to her chest, I can sit back, and now we're in cross hachigurami. Now from here we just come in, cut an angle, and we lock our legs and do our passing from here, or attacks of the legs, or what have you. Okay? So we feel like our partner, we step in, our partner shoots into a deep reverse or a deep outside De La Riva hook and extends her leg to the far hip, or she starts turning my knee in. We reach through and we always grab the leg. So that from here, we can sit through and move into cross hachigurami, where we get her knee inside our knee line. And now we just turn an angle, we lock a figure four, and we're ready to go. Now this time, let's say my partner gets a deep outside De La Riva hook, and before I can sit down, she starts inverting, and I feel like my back is going to be exposed. So she starts moving her head around this way. I feel like this is no good. I can't sit, I can't grab my partner's leg, and the angle is just wrong. From here, as she goes to invert, I'm just going to fall down to my hip. Now, when she goes to bring her head underneath my body, she can't because I'm sitting down. Now from here, we come in, we take a scoop grip. First option is if we can get upper body position with a reverse underhook, we come over our partner's head. With the gi, long steps are available from here, but it's unrealistic to be able to hold your partner with a collar tie without the gi. Okay? If we can get to upper body position, we come in and we use a reverse underhook. Now when she goes to keep a grip, we use a scoop grip to dominate the space between her knees. So that now I can use my foot to separate her feet, and when she goes to hold onto my ankle, pushing down of her foot will always strip her hand off. And now we pommel our foot to a position of safety, and now we have the same scoop grip or coming over the leg like we talked about before. Or from here, we can come over, overwrapping the leg and coming over into mount. Okay? Or if your partner turns into you, now there's back exposure. Okay? Now let's say we get into a position where your partner gets so deep on the reverse on the outside De La Riva hook that you feel like from here you're not going to be able to go into cross hachigurami. The first thing we always have to do is monitor this ankle. If this ankle can pommel behind my leg, now she can start to move this across, and now she has 2 feet behind my legs, and we're no good from here. Okay? So let's say we come in. From here, we reach through and we try to catch our partner's leg. If that doesn't work and our head's moving too far towards my back and I feel like there's back exposure, we immediately switch our hands and we sit down to our leg like so, or down to our hip like so. Now we come through with the right hand and we get to a reverse underhook. Now we switch to a scoop grip. We dominate the space between our partner's legs and we use our feet at the long end of the lever down by our partner's ankle, lock, to push her foot off, push her hand down and off, and now from here we bring our shin in front of our partner's thigh. Now we use the same scoop grip or overwrap grip to go into passes from there. Okay. Now, another great example of passing from here is now my partner goes to invert, and we come in here. This time, when I go to come across my partner's body, she's posting on my shoulders in some way. So I feel like I can't get to my partner's upper body in any fashion. From here, we're going to come in. First thing we're going to do, we're going to overwrap my partner's leg. And as we pull the leg down, we're just going to come up and over. And we're going to end in a 3/4 mount. Where from here, everything remains the same. I try initially to blade my right knee in. If she releases my ankle, my right knee can always come in. If she doesn't release my ankle, now it's hard for me to connect my right knee to her right hip. So count on your partner being able to turn towards you, put you back in half guard, but now you're chest to chest. Okay? Now we're starting to combine everything into one series. Okay? This time we come in, we have an initial V grip, we try to reach through. That fails, we switch hands, and we sit down to this position here. Now, from here, as we're in here, the only way that I can step over with my left leg is to clear her foot off my hip. So I have to move away from my partner and clear that foot. Now I overwrap her leg, I step up and over, and we're in here. If she lets go of my leg, I can bring the right knee in, and now we can get a connection to the hip. But you won't always be able to do that. If she keeps a hold of my ankle, now the chances of her facing me are great. But now we can always come into upper body position. We're past our partner's top arm, we're past our partner's top leg, and now we're ready to go into attacks and passes from here. Now, next one is my partner goes to invert. We fall down here, and from here, we're down on our hip. Now, from this position, if I feel this leg is coming up too high, whenever I see her heel raised above the line of her knee, we can always come through and take a grip of my partner's hamstring here. Where now, from here, we can come in and start to scoop over our partner's leg and start to turn this into a tight waist. Again, I have to clear this foot on my hip. So we come through, and now we just move into a leg drag position on the opposite side. So my cue for an overwrap grip versus a tight waist on the far side is contingent upon my partner's foot position. If the heel is below the knee, this is unrealistic. So we come in, we pull this down, and we start heisting up and over. If the leg is up high, now you can still pull this down, but you can also add this into the equation. So if the legs start to come up, we come in and we pull the hamstring down with this forearm grip. So now when she goes to return her leg to the previous position, I can always pull the leg towards me, and now I have to lean towards her. If there's no pressure on her leg and I just try to shoot my hands forward, she can always just bring her heel down, down to the floor, and now she's in. So I start posting up on my left leg. So now when I put weight on my partner's leg and she goes to bring her leg back down, it's difficult. And now we can bring the tight waist in. Now I just step over my partner's leg, and we're into nice attacking leg drag positions. Okay. Another way that we can deal with our partner's belly heave inversion, and now we're getting into later responses, is as my partner goes to invert fully, she manages to get the knee or the foot behind my knee. and she moves completely behind my back to a position where now she has 2 feet behind my hamstrings. Now we're in a full leg response. So from here, I squat down and I grab my partner's heels. So when she goes to grab my waist and goes to extend me and take my back, it's very difficult from here. When she goes to move me around, go ahead. You're in a relatively stable position from here. So from here, we're going to come through. We're going to reach elbow deep with our left hand. And we're just going to fall to one side. So that now from here, we can extend our left leg back and pull our partner's leg through. Now, we're still not in cross hashigurami because she still has her foot inside. But it's relatively easy now for me to grab the bottom of my partner's foot, pommel my foot to the inside, turn the corner, and now we have cross hashigurami out of our partner's De La Riva inversion. Okay? So we start with early responses. Okay? The earliest being, if we can just shut down the De La Riva hook by turning our knee out, that's great. But a lot of the times it comes in too deep, where we have to start going anywhere from entering at the cross hashi right from here to falling to a hip, to her getting fully inverted, where she brings the foot behind, and now we're into a position where I'm going to get my back taken if I don't do anything. So I grab 2 ankles and I sit into this position here. So when she goes to move me around, I'm in a relatively stable position from here. Now we come in, we go elbow deep with the left hand. We fall to one side, the opposite side is the elbow deep grip. We pull the leg through as we shoot our knee above our partner's knee. Now when she goes to use this hook effectively, I can just take a grip on her foot, pommel my leg to the inside, and now turn the corner easily and do all of my passes from cross hashigurami. Okay? Okay, so now, when we step our foot inside of our partner's legs, and we get to this straight hamstring grip, and she's down on her back. Again, there's 2 positions that my partner can play from here. One with a knee in the top hip, and one with a knee in the bottom hip. Right? So assuming my partner's knee is on my top or bottom hip, you can do this in either position. We're going to look at what can we do if we do get to inside position with our upper body. Okay, so we can punch our underhooks in. Right? From here, my partner's going to have a knee in my bottom hip, because that's where we're working from right now. Right? From here, when we come in, and I take my right hand, I just punch it to the floor like so. If she's not doing anything with her hands to post on my shoulders, we can always come in, whether the knee's here or here, and we can just slide our right knee across to the opposite side, and the head comes down to the floor. So that now, we're in the same position that we started with when we started doing split squat passing. Right? But we just set it up from a different position. Now from here, we go either double unders again, or under over, and we just work on, if my partner does trap my ankle, pushing in the top foot, pushing in the bottom leg, and now we're past our partner's guard. So from here, we're in, whether the knee is on bottom or top hip, assuming I can get upper body position, I go underhook on the knee that's closest to the floor, and now I'm just going to pass across to the opposite side. So my knee comes across. And the reason this works is because I can get my chest to my partner's chest. If she's posting on my shoulders, that's not going to work. Okay, now she's just going to use her left leg to extend me away, and that's going to happen. That's no good. Okay. So we come in, we use an underhook in like so, and now we come through and we pass. Now, let's say we come in and we get the underhook on the opposite side. So this time, instead, we come in and we manage to get an underhook with my partner's knee on the bottom hip, and get an underhook on with my left hand. From here, we're going to come in. We're going to use initially a right-handed crossface. We're going to come forward and we're going to pommel our left shin over our partner's shin. And now we're do a similar pass to the one we did before. We raise our hips and we push our partner's knee past the line of our hips, and we pass. Now a variety of options just like before. She traps onto my ankle, use a butterfly hook to pass, or as we pass, she doesn't have my ankle, We can pommel to side control, either side. Before she taps my ankle, we can come into mount, slide the knee up, and we have all of our options from there. Okay, so assuming my partner has her knee on the bottom hip, I can get an underhook, not on the right hand side this time, but on the left hand side. Our first option is we use a crossface and an underhook to come forward, pommel our left shin to our partner's shin, lean forward and bring the leg by. And now from here we have a variety of pommeling options that we can go through. Okay, we can pommel to side control, either side. Okay, best side is this side because we have an underhook on the far side. We theoretically can go to either side. We can go to mount, or we can use a 3/4 mount to get past our partner's guard. Okay, this is when our partner has the knee on the bottom hip, and I can get to an underhook on this side. Now, as always, we've been looking at, can we get an underhook and a crossface? If we can't get a crossface, can we get an underhook? If we can't get an underhook, can we go over the back? If we can't go over the back, what else can we do? Okay, so we're looking at a position where we can get an underhook now. So before we looked at getting an underhook here and driving across my partner, getting an underhook here and passing from this position where I get to an underhook and a crossface. Now let's look at getting to underhooks from both positions, but I can't get a crossface. So first we'll start with a near side underhook, where I come in, I try to go, I have an underhook from here, I try to come into a crossface, but my partner's doing a good job of blocking me with her hand. Now from here we come in and we place our leg, our head down to the floor like so. Now, once our head comes down to the floor, we have an option to pommel on top of the leg like we just did with the crossface. Okay. We also have an option to come through, bring our left knee up, and crush our partner's legs to the opposite side, so that now my shoelaces catch behind my partner's knees. When she gets to open up her legs from here, I take 2 feet and I pommel my shoelaces behind her leg. And now I just raise my hips, and only my left leg comes out. If she goes to aggressively open her legs, my 2 legs can come out, and now I end up in a mounted position. Okay? So again, I'm pointing my partner's knees away from me. So you see this transition where we come in. We have an inside foot on my partner's straight hamstring. She has a knee on bottom. We come in, we get an underhook. We feel like we can't get a crossface though. So our head comes down. As our head comes down, we rise, we bring our left knee across, and we bring our partner's hips and knees facing the opposite direction. Now we take our foot behind our partner's leg. Now as we raise our hips up, and she goes to open her knees, our left leg comes out. If she feels like she can't open her knees all the way, go ahead, open your knees. Then my foot comes off, and we end up in mount like before. So a lot of things has to do with pinning my partner's 2 legs together so the knees point away from me, and keeping them pinned with the shoelaces of my foot. Okay. Now let's look at a position where if we get to an underhook on the opposite side, here on the far side, and now from here we're in this fine attacking position like so. From here, we're going to come in, we're going to take our head to the floor now on the opposite side. We're going to have our right hand out for base. Now we're going to take our left knee up, and we're going to insert it directly at the pocket of our partner's hip. And now our whole thing is to keep our hips low. If your partner goes to open up her knees aggressively, we have 2 choices. We can release the legs, or as she goes to open everything up, we can pull ourselves back across the mount like we just did. Or from here, we come in, we have to make sure that our left leg goes over, our right knee comes to the hip inside of her elbow, so when she goes to open, we're here. And now we're into a pass on our partner. Okay? If we feel that for whatever reason we cannot achieve this position, where I feel like I can't bring my legs up and over, from here, where I feel like from here we're in, and I feel like I can't bring my knee up and over from any of these positions, whenever I have upper body position, we can come in and we can take our 2 knees together in a split squat. And now we can do our split squat passing from here. Where from here, we come in, we can take our right knee behind, and now we're in a leg drag position. We can take our right knee up and over. If I can take my head to the opposite side of my partner's head, if we can get a cross face in here, this allows us to move our head to the opposite side. And now we can take our right knee up and over our partner's leg, where we walk back towards our partner's center line. Remember, if our left knee is flared out and I got to reach over my partner's leg, it'll be difficult. So from here, we bring the bottom leg back to the center line, and even if his leg comes out now, we're in pretty good position because we have her upper body pinned. So when she goes to enter into cross hashigurami, it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. If possible, it's best to keep our left leg here. But if we have upper body position, it's not the end of the world if we end up here. But preferably we want to come in here, and now we step up and over our partner's knee. Then from here we walk back towards the hip with the right knee, and now we're in the passes from there. So 3 good options. When we come in, we get an underhook on the far side, and our head comes to the floor. From here, we can come through, raise the hip up, and bring our knee across like so. Where now we can take 2 feet behind, drop our hips, and walk back towards our partner's hips, just like before. We can come in, we can keep our 2 feet behind our partner's leg, so if she goes to open her knees, we end up in this good position here, where our knee is inside of our partner's hip, and now when she goes to the elbow escape, it's very difficult. We can come into a position where we take our, we can come into a position where we take our left knee and we bring it into this leg drag position here. Where now when she goes to pommel her legs, she can't. And now I can just replace my left knee with my right knee, and now we're behind our partner's guard. We can also come into a position where from here, we take our head to the opposite side. We now pommel our hand inside of our partner's hand. We can get a cross face. Now we walk our partner's bottom leg back towards the center line, so we can step over our partner's leg and bring our hip into our partner's, our knee into our partner's hip. And now from here, we come up, 2 knees inside of my partner's armpit, and we're in, ready for attacks from mount from there. Okay, those are all really good options. Okay, so now another great 2 options. So we looked at using a near side underhook to pass, a far side underhook to pass. Another great option that we have is we bring our right knee down to the floor, and remember, we can play this position in two ways. We can play left knee in the floor, right knee in the floor, left knee down, right knee down. Okay, depending on what your opponent's doing. There are no cues per se to determine which knee is down. If you feel like your partner's viciously fighting to push one of your knees down, I usually let them push the knee down and move to something else. So for example, if my partner's doing a really good job of bringing my right knee down, I'm usually going to let that knee come up, and I'm going to stop her leg from coming in by bringing my right knee to my right elbow, and my left knee will come down. Okay. If your partner lets the knee stay there, then they're just going to chill out here. Right? But if she's actively pushing the knee down, I'm not going to try to stop that. If I try to stop that and I try to pinch my knees together as hard as I can, she's just going to always push the knee in because she has the inside position. Her knee's going to come back up. Now she's going to be in a full butterfly guard. Okay? So one of the great things that we can do is we can switch knees like so, depending on how your partner's playing. So another great option from here with the right knee down and the knee on the bottom hip is if I can get to upper body inside position. Let's say now, everything that we've been doing is, can I get to an underhook or not? So if I can't get to an underhook on either side, we have a good choice, a good option to be able to go over our partner's back. So now we come in, we take our right hand over our partner's back, and we control the head once again. Now we take a reverse V grip on our partner's ankle, and we just back step past the leg. So we can take a scoop grip now, and now we're in those same exact positions that we've been going over the entire series. Okay, so we come in, we're in here, bottom hip, I can't get to an underhook. Since I can't get to an underhook, we come in, we throw our right hand over, we take a V grip on our partner, so when she goes to use a sticky butterfly hook, she can't. Now we come in, we take a butterfly or scoop grip, we bring our foot across our partner's hips, and now we're in. Right? Now let's say our partner starts opening up her knee. So I initially want to have my right knee down, but she starts opening up her knee, and when she does that, I don't allow her knee to come across to this hip. Okay, so I keep my chest heavy on the leg, but this allows her now to open the knee. So there's two things that I can do from here. If I'm here and she goes to open the knee aggressively, I can just let it slide by. Or I can stay heavy on the knee, so keep the knee there, and she can manage to get me into this position now. If I find myself here and she starts to grab my ankle, now we come in, we take a cross face on our partner where we just post on the floor. We don't actually put weight into our partner, okay? We just post into the floor here. Now we come through, we grab a grip on our partner's ankle, and we pull the ankle through and we kick our leg down. Now we have a scoop on our partner's far leg and a cross face on our partner. We actively bring our hands together. Now we do the same thing that we did before, but just from a different grip. If I push into my partner's shoulder and she extends into me, we hip switch past. Okay? That'll look like this. We push in, and now we're past. And because I'm moving her far hip and knee away from me, when she goes to face me from here, the joining of my hands will make that difficult. If from here I push into my partner's far shoulder and I don't get a reaction, I just cheat my right knee up, we pommel left leg in, and we replace with the right knee. And now from here we're ready to go in and pass. So now, something interesting happens. And this is where we really start to get full circle with all this tight passing. When I have an opponent with a straight hamstring, foot inside, with a knee on the bottom hip, we do our passes from here. But now, once she brings the knee to the top hip, essentially, we're just in a butterfly half guard. Okay? Where I have my butterfly hook in, and she has a butterfly hook. Okay? If my foot comes out, this is a butterfly half guard. Okay? So essentially, we're passing a butterfly half guard. But we have different positions that we can do from here by having our hips light while our hands are heavy. Okay? So essentially what we're doing is we're passing a butterfly half guard. So as always, we have to cover underhook crossface both sides. Just an underhook both sides. No underhook at all. And a position where your partner has hands posting on your shoulders so you can't get any upper body grips. So the first thing we'll do is we'll come in. The leg will be on this side, assuming we can get past the top leg. We're going to come in, we're going to put an underhook and a crossface on the far side on our partner. Actually, we'll do what we did last time. We did the near side, so we'll do the near side first. So assuming we can get a near side underhook on our partner. From here, we're going to come in, and we place an underhook or a crossface and place like so. Now, from this position, we're going to come in, we're going to take our left leg up once again, and we're going to pommel our leg on top. We can do all of these passes where we work on front pommeling past our partner's legs. Normally, when we do this, we did it from the butterfly half on the opposite side. We did it with an underhook on this side. Okay, so everything now is starting to overlap. So you see, you have positions where you can pommel the legs from an underhook on either side, the far side or the near side. Okay, so from this position, we're going to come in. The underhook, before we start this, the underhook is just determining what side you're going to pass to for the most part. Okay, in general, you're always going to pass to the opposite side as the underhook. Okay, you're not always going to pass to the opposite side. Sometimes you'll pass to the same side. But in general, the underhook determines where you're going to pass to. But a lot of the leg pommeling remains the same. Okay, so just to review some of this, we're going to come in. We have a near side underhook and a crossface. We can pommel in front or on top of our partner's leg. If she has a sticky hook, we can pommel in front of our partner's leg. And now from here, instead of passing the knee on belly in this direction, we can always come out and pass to mount in this direction. Or as we pommel free, we can pass the knee on belly on this side. And now from here, we can go back and forth between playing side to side on our partner. Okay? So when we have a near side underhook, she has her knee on the top hip. We come in, we get a near side underhook, and we get the crossface. We have good options of coming over the leg if she extends in front of the leg, or we can start coming up and we can start raising ourselves knee to knee and bringing our knee across our partner's leg. So that now from here, we can bring our shoelaces down to behind our partner's hamstring and pommel our leg out. Now we're in the same position where we have our 2 feet behind our partner's legs. Now because we have the underhook on our right side, instead of passing in this direction like we did last time, we're just going to come in, we're going to keep our 2 feet behind our partner's hamstring, we're going to extend and step our leg over to the other side. And now from here, we're in with a nice tight pass. Okay? So I know a lot of this is redundant now, and we're starting to overlap, but it's very important that you understand where you should be doing these leg pommels from. Okay? So if we get into a position where we come in, near side underhook, we have top pommels, front pommels. We have knee cuts across, and as the knee comes across, that takes the stickiness of her hook out. If my knee doesn't come all the way across and I go to extend my leg, she can always follow me. So I make sure that my knee comes all the way across. So now her 2 knees are connected. So when she goes to follow me from here, we can easily step out. And now, as she goes to bring her knees open, I put weight on it through my right leg, and that brings us into a pass on the opposite side. Okay? So that is a near side underhook. Okay? Now let's go into a far side underhook with the cross face. That was a near side underhook with the cross face. Now let's go far side underhook with the cross face. Okay? If we go, and of course, oh, actually no. Then we come in, now we're far side underhook with a cross face. Now from here again, just like we talked about, we have pommels, right? We have pommels on top, we have pommels around the front, right? We can also from here come forward, bring our head to the floor, and start to drive our knees across. But now, because I have an underhook with my left hand, I'm not going to have to come back to this side. In the previous pass of the near side underhook, we came back to this side. But now, because I have an underhook on this side, my partner has a good chance of coming up into me and grabbing single legs, like so. Okay, which isn't a big deal. If she does that, and she's down on her shoulder, she moves into a single, I can always just come around like we did yesterday and come in and start to spin around to the opposite side. Okay? But if we can pin our shoulders, our partner's shoulders right from the beginning, it's always better. So we go far side, she has a knee in the top hip. We go far side underhook and cross face. We have our original pommels of this leg. We can also now come through, bring our head to the floor, again, using high elbows, so we have a good base. And now from here, driving the right knee, or left knee rather, all the way across and passing to this side. If from here, again, we have 2 knees together, okay, and from here she goes to aggressively open her knees, it just pulls me across into a mounted position. Okay, so those are your options from butterfly half with near side and far side underhooks with a top head and arm when you have a cross face as well. Now if we go down, we come in. Now let's say we get to a near side underhook with the knee in the top leg or knee in the top hip, but we can't get a cross face. So we're fighting to get a cross face from here. She can't get her left hand inside because of my head position. Right, if my head's out here somewhere, she can just bring her underhook back in. Okay, but we have an underhook, we can't get a cross face. So as always, we bring our head across and we use our head to be a cross face instead. Now from here, again, we can come up, we can drive across, just like we did. Once again, we can lean forward, we can pommel in front or on top of our partner's leg. Once again, we can come up, we can use an initial knee slice to either side. Okay, we can go across this way. If we feel like for whatever reason that's not working, we can go across this way. Okay, so the leg pommels remain relatively the same. Okay, but what we're looking to do is pin our partner's upper body through an underhook and a cross face, or an underhook with good head position and pass them from there. Okay, so that's a near side underhook now with the head to the far ear. Okay, so we come in, and this essentially is a review of what we were doing from butterfly half guard. Okay, I'm just adding some steps. All right. From butterfly half, if we're able to get past the top leg and pin my partner's shoulders down, we can always use leg pommeling to get past the leg. So this is essentially butterfly half guard is almost exactly the same to having our foot inside and straight hamstring. Okay. If the knee's in the bottom hip, we do different things. If the knee's in the top hip, you're passing butterfly half guard. The only difference is at some point your knee may be off the floor and maybe playing from here, which is what we're going to do next. But you're still in a butterfly half guard. Okay. So from here, we use near side underhook with a cross face, far side underhook with a cross face, near side underhook with no cross face. Now we're going to go into far side underhook with no cross face, and our head comes to the opposite side. Okay. Now, when we have far underhook, or our head comes to my partner's head on this side. From here, once again, the pommels are the same. It doesn't make sense now to bring my right knee across and try to knee slice to this side because my head's on the wrong side. If I have my head on this side, now it makes sense to knee slice across. Here. Because my head is on this side of my partner's head, it doesn't make sense to go in this direction. So everything I'm going to be looking to do from here is either we come to straight over to mount, where I pommel my legs over and we mount, or where I bring knees across like before. Now we do things from here. Okay? Where from here we can take hands in. If she gives me an underhook and opens up her knees, I have double unders on the opposite side. So where we can punch underhooks in, we can always take double unders and we can move around. But assuming my partner has a good ability to keep inside position, we have a far underhook and our head to the correct side, we're always looking to bring everything across to this side or straight into mount. Doesn't make a sense to go to this side if we have an underhook with our left hand, okay, to go to the far side. So from here, we start all of our initial leg pommeling. Again, the whole system for leg pommeling is essentially top pommels, front pommels, and knee cuts in various directions to get your partner's legs moving. When we get our partner's legs moving in certain directions, for example, if we get her knee to this hip, now we can hip switch past our partner's guard. So the whole thing is pommeling the feet on top, pommeling the feet around. If like that's not working, knee cutting across to move the knee position so that we can pommel on top or around again when they move their knee position. If that all fails, we move the knee position by hip switching. So we get reactions with our partner's feet. And when, I know this is very confusing, but when you see me rolling on the live footage and I explain this all, you guys will understand it, okay? So we have bottom knee, underhook near side, underhook far side with the cross face on either side. We have bottom knee, underhook with no cross face, where we change our head position, near side and far side. We have no underhooks at all, where we can get over our partner's head and we use a V-grip to go to pass from there. And we have a position where we can't get any upper body position, so instead we use hip switching to get our partner's legs moving to get past our partner's legs. Now we move our partner's leg over, and we have essentially a butterfly half guard, but it's modified because we're off of our knee. Okay. Initially we're off of our knee, so when our partner goes to play from here, we're in this position. Okay. And then we get upper body position, and we keep our partner's leg from pommeling inside through our knee and elbow position. Okay. Versus a regular butterfly half guard, the knees on the floor. So this is essentially a modified butterfly half guard by having a straight hamstring grip with our inside foot, and we modify it by taking our knee off the floor and connecting our right knee to our right elbow when need be. Okay? What this does is it makes it hard for my partner to knee elbow escape and bring her knee back inside and recover to full butterfly guard or any kind of ashigarami. Okay? So whenever I see my partner go to knee elbow escape, we're here. Now from here, we can move around and we can play into these transitions where we have partner's knee on the top hip, underhooks on both sides with cross faces, underhooks without cross faces, and now we're going to look to go into positions where we can't get an underhook, where my partner has bladed stance like so. And now from here, we're going to look to go over the back just like before. So as always, the question is, can we get an underhook and a crossface? If not, can we get an underhook? If not, can we reach over the head in some way to either a reverse underhook or just over and controlling the head? So if I can reach over my partner's head from here, we're going to come in, we're going to reach over the head, and now we're going to take a V grip on our partner. As she goes to extend, we're going to once again back step through, and now we come in and we have our scoop grip. Okay, so this is top knee now. I can't get to any upper body position, but she's not actively posting on my shoulders. So from here, we're going to come through, we reach over, and now I have to make sure that as soon as I go to sit to my hip, I immediately post on my partner's ankle. I don't want to sit to my hip and have her lift with this ankle and have me thrown off to the side. So when I go to sit over my partner's back, as I sit, my V grip comes in. So as she goes to extend, we're past. Now the V grip slides down to a scoop grip. And now we have all of our various passes from here. Okay? So we come in, we feel like we can't get to any upper body position, but our partner's not actively posting on our shoulders. So we reach over, and as soon as we go to sit, we reverse V grip and back step past our partner's leg. And now from here we come in, we scoop the leg, and now we have all of our scoop grip overwrap passes that we can do off of that. Okay? So essentially, it's inside foot on the straight hamstring. Your partner plays the top hip or the bottom hip. Okay, these are all the situations from top hip, bottom hip, where we can get to an underhook. We also went over a position. We completely covered the knee and the bottom hip, where my partner didn't let me get to any upper body position, and she was posting my shoulders. Okay, now the only thing we have to cover is what should I be doing when my partner's in these positions where her knee's on my top hip, and not only can I not get to any upper body positions, but she's also posting my shoulders. Okay, that's the only position we haven't covered yet. So now what can we do from here? From here, when my partner is in this position and I feel like I cannot get any upper body position, again, my hands are going to be posted up above my partner's shoulder. My right hand, in this case, is going to go back and forth between above and below the shoulder line, based on my partner's knee position, or most of my partner's elbow position. If her elbows start coming down to try to knee elbow escape, we're going to come in and we're going to take our knee to our elbow, so she can't knee elbow escape on this side. Okay? Assuming my partner's not trying to knee elbow escape, and she's just using either straight shoulder post or cross shoulder post, it doesn't really make a difference from here. Okay? The whole thing from here is I'm trying to do the exact same pommels, but just from a position where my hips are loose. Okay? What I don't want is to have your knees pinched together so hard from here, because when your partner goes to elevate you, you can get off balance. The whole thing is to have loose hips, so my legs are relaxed. So when she goes to elevate me from here, I move with her. Okay? When she goes to lift a butterfly hook, you can move with your partner. Okay? Your head position has to stay over your head, the partner's head. Right? If your head starts coming out to the side and she starts elevating, now you start getting into positions where there's no ashigarami because your foot's not on the inside. But you start to get into positions now where now you're off balance and your partner can start to recover and things like that. So we have loose hips, and we don't really worry about where our partner elevates their legs. We just float with them. We keep our head over our partner's head. So that from here we try to do all these pommels. Where we lean forward, we pommel on top, we pass. We come in, she follows me up, we pommel in front, we pass. And we do all these pommels from this position where I'm floating over my partner. Okay? So they're all the same pommels. They're just done from slightly different positions, and they're chained all together. Okay? That's where the system starts to come into place. Okay? So we come in, I can't get to upper body position. So we're playing with my partner, and we're in. I'm playing with my partner. She goes to follow me up, and I'm in. Okay? And the beauty of this is because you don't have any upper body position, you can pommel to knee on belly on either side. Okay? So I don't have to necessarily come in and pass across to this side. If she bridges to that side, I can swing my legs across. Okay? If she bridges back, I can swing my legs across. And just windshield wipers of my legs across my partner's hips. Now, once I actually get past my partner's legs, of course you have to settle into inside position somehow. Okay? So if we get past our partner's legs by pommeling through, and we settle into this position, now, and she traps my ankle, now we just do all of our passing from here, which we've been doing the whole time. If we come in, and we pass to side control, where I don't really have side control yet, but I have my two partners' hands or knees pinned together. When she goes to open her knees from here, it's very difficult. Now I can fight my way to an underhook and a crossface. If I can get to an underhook and a crossface, I can pass from here. I can pass behind, just like we've been doing. Okay? If my partner opens the knees up, now I'm on the opposite side, where I can insert my right knee behind her knee and walk back towards the hips. If I feel like she goes to open up her knees and I feel like she's going to invert the knee and come into me, now we come in and we go inside the hip and we connect the right elbow and the right knee. Okay? So all these things are things we've seen before. We're just learning how to chain them together now. Okay? So when I feel like I have an inside foot on my partner's straight hamstring and she has her knee on my top hip, we come in and we plant our hands. And we just play around with passing my partner from here. And now, as she goes to open up her knees or move around, this is when you start to come into positions where now I fight for inside position. I can come over the back, I can pommel in front of the hip. We can do all kinds of things to be able to get past the legs, but also secure upper body inside position. So when we go to play from here, we're in, and now our partner's knees are pointing away from us. If she turns this way, it's back exposure. If she turns towards me, there's pins. Okay? So essentially, everything that we learned to this point is now all coming together. All right? Now there's one last position that if your partner chooses to address, it puts us in a passing position that we were already in. If we're down and she has her knee on my top hip, if her hands are on my shoulders and I can't get to upper body inside position, we use our feet to beat our partner's legs. And because you're in top position, you have a natural leg pommeling advantage over someone who's in bottom position. Okay? So after a while, your partner's going to start to realize that this is not a good position for them to be in. Okay? The only way they can escape this position is to start to use their hands to relinquish shoulder position and start to deal with my knee position. Because if she can push my knee down and bring her knee back inside, okay, now she can start to push me away, she can insert this leg into butterfly guard, and she's pretty safe from here. But there's a dilemma. If she relinquishes shoulder position with her hands and she starts to fight my knees, now there's nothing that stops me from getting chest to chest. Okay? So she can either stop me from getting chest to chest, or she can deal with my knee position. She can't do both. Okay? So as she goes to take her hands across and post on my knee, whenever I see this, even if she uses one hand and she uses a cross shoulder post, I come back the opposite direction. So the cross shoulder post gets crushed. So when she goes to knee elbow escape, I'm going to take my hand on my partner's knee, my right hand inside my partner's far hip, and my knee inside the elbow. And I'm just going to sit back and crush my partner into this position. And now we're in the same exact position that we were doing in the early series, where I'm past my partner's top leg, I'm past my partner's top arm, and now we'll take inside bicep ties, cross faces, go over the head, and anything like that. Okay? So in the beginning, I was talking about if your partner's naive and they don't have a cross shoulder post to stop you from getting chest to chest, you can easily get past the top leg and put them in these positions. Okay? But you can also put highly advanced guys in these positions through the advanced transitions to get back to these basic positions, where advanced people don't end up here. You can't just sit past their top leg. But if you do it from a position where you put them in a dilemma on this side of their guard, and now if they stop addressing my shoulder position and start addressing my knee position, I just come in, I use my left hand on my partner's knee, I use my right hand inside my partner's knee, and my goal with my head position is over my partner's elbow. So now, if she tries to use an underhook to come up into me, she can't. Now I can use the reverse cross face, bring my elbow inside, and now I have underhooks ready to play. Okay? So we're in here. If she's playing with my shoulder position, we come forward and we pommel the legs. She realizes she's going to get beat from here. So she starts coming inside my knee and pushing my knee down. We take left hand in, we scoot backwards, we get over our partner's bottom leg by pushing it down, and over our partner's top knee with our right elbow position. And now from here we're ready to come in and go for our passes. So we've covered every position from this straight hamstring, whether we can get upper body position with the underhook and a crossface, just an underhook over the back or reverse underhook, or if we can't get any upper body position at all, we have options to get past this guard through leg pommeling. Okay? I know it's a lot of information, but that's what it is. Okay, so now we're going to start talking about body locking. Okay? When we body lock, just know that there are a few details to look at when I'm doing body locks. There's, first of all, a couple different grips you can use. You can start with or finish with a tight waist, okay? Where we use a body lock initially, and then we use a tight waist to control our partner's hip, and then we have a free hand to move. There's long arm, short arm body locks, where we have one long arm across my partner's body and one short arm around the side like so. And there's 3 different kind of grips that we can use, depending on the position we're in, the length of my arms, and the size of my partner. So the length of my arms relative to the size of my partner. Okay, that's a 10-finger grip, which is the loosest. Okay, if you have short arms and you have a big partner. A 10-finger or a wrist-to-wrist grip or a palm-to-palm grip, which is tighter, but obviously if you have shorter arms and you have a big opponent, it's hard to always sometimes lock a palm-to-palm grip. And we have a wrist-to-wrist grip, which is the tightest. Normally, if you have long arms and someone's your own size or smaller than you, you use the tightest, which is a wrist-to-wrist grip. Okay. So what I mean by this is, when my partner's seated, we have a long arm, short arm body lock, where we have my right arm long around my partner's body, and a short left hand. We have a tight waist, where we can use an initial tight waist to move to a body lock, or we can start with a tight waist, and then we have a free hand, or we can start with a body lock and move to a tight waist. So we can do one or the other, starting with a tight waist and moving to a body lock, or starting with a body lock and moving to a tight waist. We can also have body locks where our hands are in the center of our partner's back, where we have 1, 2, or 3 grips from here. And now we can start to come in and crush our partner from these positions. The first thing we're going to look at is a side body lock, okay, where we take our partner's legs out to the side and we use a side body lock to pass our partner. So from here we're in a position where my partner's in a seated guard and we have 2 knees on the floor, okay. We move to 2 knees for a variety of reasons. Okay, if we feel like we cannot establish inside position, if we feel like we can't get an inside foot with our lead foot, and we have to come down to 2 knees and use outside position with our knees to try to pass our partner. If we feel like we can't use Toreando passing, because when we go to shoot past our partner's knees, they're so good at inversions that every time we shoot past their legs, they're entering into our legs. There's Ashigaramis available. There's all kinds of things. Okay, so this is always a good option to go into guard passing when we feel like we can't step a foot inside, or we can't use Toreandos because our partner is good at entering into our legs. All right. So from here, we're going to come in. We're going to take one hand outside of our partner's knee, the second hand inside of our partner's knee. Now we're going to lean forward so our heels become light, and we're just going to pop up to our feet. And then from here, as we pop up, we're just going to put weight in our partner's leg. So now we can run around slightly to the other side, and we can come in. We can lock a side body lock on our partner, where we come through with a long arm and we have a short arm like so, and we take our elbow inside of our partner's knee. Now I want to start dragging my partner down to the floor. So I put pressure on my partner's shoulder and I bring her shoulder to the ground. If she's naive, she'll let my left foot pass, and then we end up in passes from here. But most times, our partner comes in and she catches a hook on my leg. So I feel like I can't pass all the way through to my partner. Now, if my partner is doing a good job of keeping the elbow in, then we go to different passes from here. But we'll start first with the most basic, where we can get an underhook on our partner. So we started with a body lock. Now we're going to move up. We're going to get to an underhook on our partner. Now, there's a couple of things that we can do from here. We can come in. Notice this is a very similar position to the things that we were doing in the beginning, where we were passing with a split squat and a half guard. Where now I can just bring my hip up, hip to hip, just like when we were using a low knee shield. I come up hip to hip, and now we slide across and we pass. We can use a V-grip. So when my partner goes to move the leg, we can insert my left knee and come inside. Okay. We can use a variety of passes where we go over our partner's back, where again we come up and over. We can switch and relinquish the underhook and pass in front of our partner's guard, and now we can either bring the shoulder down, we can punch underhook back in once we're passing the opposite side, and we can come in. Okay, this is a very similar position now to where we ended up when we started in a low knee shield, where we crushed our partner's leg, and now we did all of our work from here. The only difference is her leg position is inside of my legs. Okay, so we're going to come in. We have one hand inside and one hand outside. We pop up to our feet briefly, we push the knee down, and we walk to the side. Now we come in, we punch in a tight waist, we go to a body lock, and we circle our partner's shoulder down to the ground. If she hooked into my leg, like she should be, from here, we have to find ways to get past this leg. Assuming we can get to an underhook, we come in, we get into an underhook, and we grab our partner's far trap muscle. Now, a variety of passes where we can use a V-grip to pass from here. We can take our hand through, and we can open up our partner's leg from here. And when she goes to follow me with the sticky hook, that becomes difficult. We can start sliding up hip to hip, so we can replace our right leg with our left leg and end up in a leg drag. We can start pushing the knee down to bring our knee up and over and slide across. We can do that same motion where we come through, but now from here we come over the back initially in front of the hips, so that when we go to make a transition across our partner and she goes to bring her knees into her chest, we can block it with the hand now instead of the hips. And now from here we can either pass to north-south or punch an underhook back in and come through. And now we have our passes from here. So again, you're doing the same passes, but you're just off a different position. When I go to pass my partner from a side body lock, the leg gets caught in here. When I go to pass my partner from a low knee shield, the foot gets caught outside of the hip. Notice also, when we get to the side body lock, what position does this remind you of? It reminds you of an inside foot to a straight hamstring when your partner's knee is on the bottom hip. So we have all of the passes right from this position that we can do from here. Okay, all the passes I just showed you, plus we can come in, post hands on the floor. If I push towards my partner's far shoulder and she extends, we pommel pass. And we have that whole series off of this side body lock. Okay, so we have all the passes that we did with the or similar passes that we did with the low knee shield. We have the passes I just showed you here, and we have the passes that we did from the inside foot on the straight hamstring. So now everything is coming together into one unit to be able to go into passes. So another option that can happen when I use this this side body lock on my partner is from here. As we lock in, we can try to drag our partner back down to her back. But we always find ourselves sometimes in a position where she tries to stay up on an elbow and move away from me. Now the hips can't move away because I have a body lock. From here, we're going to come in, we're going to access our partner's far wrist, and we're going to pull it towards us. So that now we can grab our wrist behind our partner's back and pull that hand into us. Now this hook is still in place. Previously, we had a body lock, and my foot was in like so. Now, I'm going to look, if I try to pin my partner's leg down and step over, it's difficult because she can always use her hand down her shoulder to grab my leg and block me and do things like that. Okay? But now we're going to come in and we're going to grab my partner's hand, and now we have a free hand now. We have essentially a tight waist with my partner's wrist. Now, all I have to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to take my hand so that my hand comes inside my partner's hip. I'm going to push this knee down, and now we're just going to step over, and we're going to end up in a mounted position. So in order to stop her knee from coming in, okay, we're just going to take our right knee on this side up, and we're going to slide our heel to our partner's hip. So now when she goes to bring her knees inside, it's impossible. And now from here we can come in and we can go into passes from there, or back takes. All right? So we hit this side body lock. We end up in a position where we can't get past our partner's leg. From here, if I just try to push my partner's leg down and step up over the knee, it's difficult because my partner can use her hand to come in and start grabbing my foot. Okay? If your partner stays in the elbow and she just tries to post from here, you can always come in, take a tight waist, and now just step over your partner's leg. But again, when I step over, she can knee elbow escape immediately and she can start giving me problems. So if your partner's not very high level, it's very easy to just push the leg down and step over. Okay? But it's much better if we can access his far wrist. Right? So we take the extra second to come in, we reach for the far wrist. If we can grab it, perfect. If not, we pull the hand towards us first, we access the wrist, and now we pull everything back so our partner falls down to the shoulder. Now we have a free hand to come in. We go inside the hip. We step up and over with our left leg, and as we step over, we don't just step in an arbitrary position. We make sure that as our right knee slides up, our left heel connects to our partner's hip. So now when she goes to knee elbow escape or bring her knees back inside, it's very difficult from here. Okay, so this is using side body lock and responding to your partner hooking into your leg with their leg and posting up on an elbow. So we come in and we're here. Now we have a free hand to come up, push this leg down, and come up into this perfect passing position right from here. Where now if your partner turns away from us, again, there's back exposure. Okay, so this is something that shouldn't happen, but I'm just going to add it in here if it does happen to you guys. So if we use this side body lock, let me get into this position. If you have a body lock with our hands locked, the elbow position inside of your partner's hip will stop her from turning into you. Okay, so when she goes to turn into you from this position, their hip is pinned. If we grab a tight waist, the pulling of my right elbow behind me and turning of her hip will stop her from turning into me. Okay, but just know, if your partner does manage to shoot her left leg straight and turn into you, now look what position we're in. We're in half guard, where my partner is now flat on her back, and we're past the top knee and the top elbow. So if you do have a mishap from here, and you find out and you see that maybe you step this leg up and you go to pommel around, you go to hip switch past, and your partner does manage to turn into you, just know that she's putting herself back in a half guard where we have a tight waist, so we can come into upper body position, and we can use passing. We can use passes from here. Okay. So if your partner does turn into you, just know that we're always in positions to pass from there. And if she does turn into you, because I have a tight waist already, when she turns into a half guard, from here I have a free hand now to start working to go into upper body position, or I can just bring my, lock your leg, I can bring my elbow inside my partner's hip and start looking to come through into a 3/4 mount. All right? If my partner starts a butterfly hook, we can start coming through and coming up and over. Just like we used with the reverse underhook. The inside underhook, sorry. It's very similar to a tight waist. All right. So just know if your partner does turn into you, they're in those prime pass. She puts herself in those prime passing positions where we're in half guard past the top leg, past the top arm, and we have a tight waist, which is almost the same thing as a near side underhook in that case. So now we're going to look at passing our partner from a seated position in a body lock. So we look at side body locks. Now we're going to look at square body locks per se. All right. Our whole thing is to get one of our legs to the inside position. Okay. We couldn't do that, so we've established, let's say, in a match, we couldn't get our foot to the inside position by just stepping inside. So we dropped to 2 knees. So we use a body lock to hip switch past one of my partner's butterfly hooks to get my legs to the inside position. And then we start moving into a chest-to-chest position from half guard, and all the passes from there remain the same. Okay. So now we come in. My partner has legs in like so. Now, there's a few different hand positions that we can use from here. We can have a position where I can get to inside position, where I have double underhooks. I can go into a position where I have an underhook and an overhook. I can go into a position where I actually physically lock over my partner's arm. I can go into a position where I have double overhooks here. I can also go into a long arm, short arm, where I start with a body lock or a tight waist, and then we use variations from there. Okay. So the first thing we're going to look at is using double underhooks. First, we'll look at using square hands, and then we'll look at using a tight waist and a long arm or short arm. Okay. So first thing we're going to do, assuming we can get to both of our hands in underneath my partner's arms. Okay, so we're hand fighting from here. Okay, one of the best ways to do this is to drop our head to our partner's shoulder. Okay, if I try to punch underhooks in, and my partner can just bring her hands in, and now she can always get to underhooks like so. Okay, so we're going to come in. We're going to take our head down to the line of our partner's shoulders. So now when we come in, we take our hands inside. When she goes to pommel her hands back inside, it's difficult from here. If she does actually manage to pommel her hands in, her hands actually get stuck, and she can never use underhooks effectively. Okay, so the way we do this is we take our head down to the line of our partner's shoulders. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we have to have a way to sit our partner down from here. Right? If I lock into a body lock on my partner and I drive into my partner from here, if I put her on her back by driving forward, she can easily just bring her knees into her chest and off balance me in any different direction. When we were talking about butterfly half passes previously, remember I told you guys that you use a pinch of your knee to bring your partner's heel into their butt. This drastically takes away their ability to elevate you with their legs. We're going to do the same thing here, except we're not going to push our partner's heel to our butt. We're going to use our body lock to pull our partner's butt to the heels. Okay? So the first thing we do is we bring our head to the line of our partner's shoulders to take our hands inside. And once again, we can lock our hands in a few different ways. We can lock 10 finger, palm to palm, or wrist to wrist. Right? I'm going to lock into a 10 finger grip just because it's the loosest of the 3, and I don't want to crush that for this entire series. So we come in. Now, I don't push into my partner, okay? But rather, before anything happens, I pull her hips into her heels so that her hips come in front of the shoulders. Now, because her heels are so close to her butt, when she goes to elevate me from here, it's extremely difficult. Okay, and you'll notice this when you start playing around with these passes. If I just lean into my partner and she brings her knees into her chest, I get off balance in these positions. The second I start pulling my partner's hips into her, Now when I go to flatten her out and she goes to elevate, it's very difficult. Now, from here, the whole thing, I have to get past one of her butterfly hooks. As I go to get past one of her butterfly hooks, from here, we're going to come in, we're going to sprawl one leg back. Because you have double underhooks, it doesn't matter which side you go to. Okay, it's a pretty square position. So we're going to come in, we sprawl one leg back, so my right leg comes back, and I shoot it across to my partner's hip. So it comes back, straight back, and I drive it across to my partner's far hip. So when she goes to keep a sticky butterfly hook, it's difficult. Okay. Now from here, my whole thing is to step my left leg up and over my partner's knee. If she can keep her knee connected to her elbow, it's going to be difficult for me to pass from here. So from here, I just step. My right knee comes up, so that when she goes to move her knee around, it's pinned between my knee and my elbow. Now I step 1, 2, 3, and I catch over my partner's knee by turning my left knee down. Now I walk everything back towards my partner's center line to pull the knee away from the elbow. And now, voila, I'm past my partner's top leg and top arm in the half guard. And now all the passes that we did are the same. Okay? So we come in from a little bit different angle. She's in a seated butterfly. We come in, we bring our head down to our partner's shoulders, and we fight for inside position. Now, we don't push our partner down, but we pull the hips towards us. And now that the hips are in front of the shoulders, we drive her down to the floor. The hands should be locked anywhere from the middle of the spine down to the hips. Okay? I like to have my hands anywhere from here to here. Okay? Anything too high, especially when you have double over body locks, is way too high. So I like to have everything relatively low. So you pull our partner in, and now from here the whole thing is to hip switch past one of our partner's butterfly hooks. So my right leg sprawls back and drives across to the hip nearest you. Here. So that my right knee is all the way up now. When she goes to reinsert a butterfly hook, it's very difficult from this position. Okay? If my knee is out here, and she goes to insert a butterfly hook, now she can insert a butterfly hook and off-balance me over the shoulder, and now I'm in trouble. So I bring this right knee all the way up. So when she goes to bring a butterfly hook in, it's very difficult. When she goes to off-balance me with her knees in that direction, because my head is over the near shoulder, that's very difficult. What I don't want happening is you go to hip switch here, and now you square your hips slightly, and the butterfly hook comes back in, and you start getting off-balanced. Because now the heels are away from the butt. So initially, we take the right knee all the way through. Now, the whole thing for me is to come up with my left leg. So I step 1, 2, 3. And once we get over the knee, we close our left knee down. Now we pull everything back towards our partner's center line. And now our head comes to the opposite side. Okay? The reason why our head comes to the opposite side is because, again, we don't want our partner sitting up into us off the body lock and giving us trouble. In addition, when we pull our partner's leg back to the opposite side, because my knee is off the floor, it always gives her a chance to insert her left foot as a butterfly hook. So when I come in here, when I pull the leg back to the center line, a butterfly hook comes in. And now, if her left shoulder can come off the floor, she can elevate me over her right shoulder and hit a Sumigachi out to the side, because I have no base with my hands, and my hands are trapped underneath her leg. So I make sure when I pull the knee back to the center line, my head moves from one shoulder to the other. So now when she goes to hit a Sumigachi, because my head's on this shoulder, she has no ability to bring this shoulder off the floor to hit a Sumigachi over the right shoulder. So whenever I pull my partner's leg back to center, off of these body locks, I always make sure that I step over, I walk, and now notice simultaneously, as her leg comes back to the center, my head moves to the opposite hip. So if she does insert a butterfly hook, which she can, and a good person will, because they'll try to hit a Sumigachi as you're doing this, the head comes to the far shoulder, and that's now impossible. Here. If I do this, and my head stays on this shoulder, and she goes to lift me up and over with the right leg, that will always happen. So it's crucial from these positions. When you step over your partner's leg, your head initially is on one side. All right. If you bring your head to the far shoulder too early, you won't be able to step over your partner's leg. So we have the head on one shoulder initially to get past our partner's butterfly hook and step over the leg. But then when we drag the leg back towards the center line, we make sure our head goes over to the far shoulder to make sure that our partner can't elevate us with a sumigashi, and to make sure that our partner doesn't come up and sit up into us or put underhooks in, or anything we talked about in the early series. All right, so from here we looked at body lock passing with double unders, where we have our hands in the middle. Okay. Now let's look at a position where we use a long arm, short arm to be able to pass our opponent. And keep in mind, when we use a long arm, short arm, from here, the long arm, short arm can turn into a tight waist at any time, and it can turn into an underhook at any time. Okay. The only difference between a tight waist and an underhook is the position of my arm relative to my partner's back. When I control, as in terms of placement. Okay. When I'm down here and my right hand's in controlling the hip, if I just simply move it up at any point, now it's just an underhook. Okay. So we come in, we bring our head down like so. We take an initial grip in here, and now we lock our hands like so. Now, my left elbow is going to come inside my partner's right hip. So that now, from here, we're going to lean forward and we're going to sprawl past our partner's left leg. Now, because we're pushing our partner's knee down, now when she goes to bring her knee into her elbow, it becomes much more difficult and much easier for us to step over our partner's leg. All right, so a long arm, short arm type body lock passing is a much easier way from here to be able to step over your partner's knee if you're having trouble with the traditional way of bringing your hands square in the middle of the back. So now we just walk back towards our partner, and once again, we're into a position where we have a far side tight waist or a far side underhook, and we can move up and we can go into passes accordingly from there. Okay. So now, like I said, whenever we have a tight waist, we can turn it into a body lock with a long arm and a short arm. Whenever we have a body lock, we can always just release our hands and turn it into a tight waist. So we have similar control of the hips, not as good a control because our hands aren't locked, but similar control of the hips with the luxury now of having a free hand. So from here we're going to come in. We're going to beat our partner's head, our partner's shoulder position with our head. We're going to come in and we're going to lock an initial tight waist like so. Where we can use an initial, initially the same locked hands we used before to start pulling our partner into us. Again, I never want to lean forward from here, but pull my partner into me before we go into these passes. Now, from here, I'm going to come in, and this tight waist is, I'm just going to use a body lock / tight waist to pull my partner into me. Now, all in one motion, this is going to come up to an underhook instead, so I'm just going to move up to an underhook, and I'm going to take my head over my partner's near shoulder. And as I do that, I come off my feet and I tripod. Now, because I have a near side underhook and a post hand, now from here it's relatively easy to pass my partner's legs from this position. We have a multitude of things from here we can do. One of my favorite things is to just raise my legs and just hop over both of my partner's legs and then walk back towards the hips. Okay, so that's the first one. We come in, we bring everything in, we use a body lock to pull our partner in, and now as we go to sit our partner down, we move to an underhook and we quickly bring our head over our partner's shoulder, ear to ear. Now, I put a hand here on my partner's legs, I hop, we pass, and we walk back towards the hips. The second one we can do from here is from here we can come in, we can bring our hips high so we're knee to knee and drive across. And now we have knees crushed together and we do all those passes that we did previously once we get our partner's knees crushed. Either coming through, leg drag, she opens knees, we go to mount, what have you from there. Or if you feel like my partner's doing a really good job with sticky butterfly hooks, from here we come in, we walk to one side, Right, and as we walk to one side, now we pummel our leg inside. Now we're in the same passing position that we've been in previously, where I have essentially a butterfly half guard with my inside foot on a straight hamstring. Now we do passes from here. I can walk to the other side, and I can do the same thing. Now we have our passes from here. Okay. So once we get to this position, if we can get a leg inside, we're passing from the same positions that we just looked at. If we can jump to the opposite side, or outside of our partner's legs, then we're immediately past the legs right from the beginning. Okay? If I feel my partner's doing a good job with sticky hooks, we can always look also to right from here, come up, and now we can start going over. We can go in front. We can pommel the legs looking like that. Okay? So if we feel like we try to walk to one side and step legs inside of our partner, that's not working. As I go to pummel my left leg in, it's difficult. Right? As I go to pummel my right leg in, it's difficult. But now when she goes to extend her legs, we come forward, and now we're in positions to pass from here. So we can do front pommels from this position as well. So we go to raise our hips to go on top of our partner's legs. Go to raise our shins. She follows. Now we're passing from here. Okay? So we can do front pommels from all these positions as well. So our initial tight waist / body lock, we pull our partner in. When we drive our partner down, we go underhook and cross face. So our underhook and our head position comes to our partner's head. And now we have a variety of pommels. Stop. A variety of pommels that we can do from here. And all the pommels that I previously showed you are all viable from here. The only addition that we're using is one where we pommel our shin over two of our partner's butterfly hooks. Then we use passes from there, where from here I can use this to bring one leg inside. I can use this to bring two knees inside. I can use this to hip switch past my partner's guard, put her two knees together, and do a variety of passes from here. Okay? So all the passes are the same essentially. The other addition is a post on two of my partner's knees and a big hop to the opposite side. Okay? Everything else is the same. But speaking of terms of pommeling legs to the inside and doing passing from here, pommeling on top of a single shin, pushing legs down, and then passing from here. Or coming in, attempting to pommel on top, and front pommeling. Front pommeling instead. Okay? So we use a tight waist, we interchange that with long arm, short arm body lock, and an underhook with head position next to my partner's ear with my partner. So when we use these body lock passes, most of the passes that we're doing require us, one, to lock our hands, and two, before we put any weight forward into our partner, we sprawl past the butterfly hook. Okay? But with a tight waist, that's not the case. All right? When we bring a tight waist to an underhook, we put our head next to our partner's head, and we bring them down to the floor. She still has two butterfly hooks in, versus the previous ones. All the other ones that we do is we sprawl past the butterfly hook first, so then when we do lean weight into our partner, there's no more butterfly hook. So our partner has no ability to hit a sumigashi on us. Okay? So from here, this time we're into a butterfly, not a butterfly half guard, just a butterfly guard. And we bring our hands in. We use an initial tight waist. Now, as we go to take our partner down to the floor, like so, if we can land her flat on her back, we have easy passes from here. The problem is, if I come in and I have a talented opponent and I have an underhook, she can grab my wrist And as I go to drive her down, she can fall down to her hip, and she can start to bring my head out to the side. And because my head's coming to the floor now, she can punch my wrist in, so there's no base over my left shoulder. And now she can drive with her right foot, lift with her left foot, and I can get elevated over with a Sumigaeshi from there. Okay. If you contrast this with all the rest of the body locks we did, where if she tries to hit a Sumigaeshi, because I'm switching past the butterfly hook, when she goes to lift me, there's no lift now. Okay? But this is a different kind of pass because we're putting weight into our partner before we get past the butterfly hooks. So let's say my partner comes in and she starts to elevate me. As she goes to elevate me, the first thing I have to do is I have to bring my head out far for base. If I post my head on the floor for base close to her, now when she goes to lift me, my chin comes to my chest and I do a front roll over my head. That's no good. Okay? So the first thing is I lean my head out far towards the side, so I can get my head above the line of her shoulder and out to where she's taking me. She's taking me diagonally over this shoulder. So I want my head out as far in this direction as possible. So as she goes to take me up and over, my head comes out here. Now from here, a great option because she's so extended is to bring my right knee across. And now we bring my partner's two legs together. Now from here, we bring our head back in. And now we do all of the passes that we did previously where we come off. If my partner goes, come back, come up, come back. My partner goes to open her knees. We go across and come out, etc., etc. Okay? That's one good option. As we come in to a tight waist, we go drive our partner forward. She accesses my wrist. We come in, and we knee slice across. Another great option from here is if we feel like we can't knee slice across and we're going to get taken over. Okay, half a second before you're going to get taken over, we're going to cartwheel to the other side. Okay, so when you feel like you're absolutely going to get thrown, we come in, and as she lifts, we cartwheel across my partner's body. Now, again, we bring the hand to this side, and we have to cover inside position. So we block our partner's hips with a forearm across her hips. So when she goes to recover, we come in. Now we fight for underhooks and cross faces, or we can punch through to reverse underhooks and scoop grip based on your partner's upper body reactions. Okay? So we come in. Another great option is we cartwheel out. Okay, this is relatively athletic, but it's good to know. All right, actually, if you ever come to Renzo's and you train with Gary St. Ledger and you try to hit a Sumigaeshi on him, he's gonna cartwheel out of it, I guarantee you. Okay, and even if it's perfect and it's like completely belly up and you're like almost in top mount, he's still gonna find a way to cartwheel out of it. Okay, so we come in, we take the tight waist on our partner, and as we go to drive in, she falls to a hip. What we want to do is bring her flat down to her back. So we do this with our head position. So as she goes to lean her head over to the side, our head pushes back to my right, and that's what brings her to the preferred position. So we can stop this. We can stop her falling to her right hip by not driving her head out this way, but actively pushing back in this direction. Okay? So from here, as we fall, what we want is this. What she wants is this. And if she can accomplish this, and I feel like I'm going to get thrown and the knee slice won't work, I feel like I'm going to go over, we cartwheel to the opposite side. Now from here, we can either, one, come in and bring an underhook in if she releases my wrist, and then square up to the knees, and insert the left knee. Or two, if she pushes the hand across, we grab the hip. So now when she goes to cover, we block her hips. We can come through, over, underhooks, or multiple things from there. Okay? So the whole thing for me is, can I come into this position? Can I use body locks to sprawl past her butterfly hook before I put forward pressure? If I'm going to use body lock passes, tight weight passes, underhooks from here, I have to make sure that her back goes flat to the floor and not over to one hip and one shoulder. I do this by, as I drive forward, I actively push towards the side of the underhook. So even if she grabs my wrist, when she goes to hit a Sumigaeshi, she's flat on the floor versus out to the hip and throwing me off to the side.